Hi, welcome back to the channel. I'm Chris. I'm a veteran with a disability rating. I'm a prior veteran service officer, and I'm a current VA claims rater. But some common pitfalls that I see while I'm rating. Number one, insufficient evidence. Talked last time about providing a good lay statement that talks about your symptomology, but really the gold standard is going to be your own medical records. Number two, service treatment records. Now, you don't, even as a veteran, when I filed my claim, I didn't have my SDRs. Um, the process of even receiving them through National Archives can take a while. Better to just file your claim even without them. Let the VA, that's us, do all that development for you, and then after your decision, do a FOIA, which is a Freedom of Information Act request, and request all that, and then you get it all and don't have to wait as long for it. Just a little tip. So service treatment records, hopefully showing an in-service event, injury, or disease. Say you sprain your ankle playing volleyball. Now 40 years later, you got a sprained ankle. Going to be hard to connect those two together. So much lack of chronicity. But if you're a Marine and you sprain your knee running a year later, we can see in your service treatment records it's more of a chronic knee issue, and you're having ongoing issue. That's going to help you a lot to connect a current knee issue to that, even if there's been a span of many years. Seeing something chronic in your service treatment records goes a tremendously long way toward getting you a direct service connection. Also, your military personnel records. Not having a DD-214 is going to stop the whole process most of the time. You need to get a DD-214. It lists your MOS. It lists oftentimes from your awards, so we can tell what kind of like assumptions we can make. Like if you've got combat awards, combat infantryman's badge, or combat action ribbon, that's going to help you a lot toward a PTSD claim, kind of jump some of the hurdles that you need to provide in terms of showing evidence that you've got an in-service threat or stressor. This is really key, because with your MOS, often what we're doing is we're looking to see if we can create a memo in your file, what's called a Terra memorandum, which is basically us conceding that your exposure is something that we can consider in relation to your claims. So let's say you weren't in the Middle East and you weren't in Vietnam, and you're like, man, I don't have any toxic exposures. I bet if you did a little research based on your job duties as a motor transport operator or a weapons infantry or an armorer, you can come up with a lot of chemicals that you were exposed to over your time in service. And you need to put those on your 526, or put it in a lay statement, and be very clear about the chemicals you believe you're exposed to. Often you can go right to the Department of the VA website and look under exposures, and they even list them for you. But your duties help. So if I can see your MOS would say you were a painter in service, and then somewhere in your service treatment records, I see that you got treated because while painting, you got a paint chip in your eye. There's certain chemicals involved in that. Or your motor transport and there's fuels, or you're in the Air Force and fueling up, jet fuels, inhalable diesel. Do a little homework and put those on your claim applications, because we're required to look at those very carefully. And if we can concede it, even if you've been denied on other bases, that'll get you into an exam. And we'll have to request generally a Terra opinion. And that's where the examiner has so much subjectivity to either find for you or against you. Now, we're not just going to willy-nilly take their word for it. We're also going to have to see if they had a valid supporting rationale. Now, that's not on you. That's often on us. And believe me, remember our philosophy as raters: grant if you can, only deny if you must. We're looking to help you, being as veteran-centric as possible. Missing deadlines. If you are given a deadline, you're given a subsequent development letter, and they're like, hey, we need more information. Either it's an 0781 for your PTSD stressor, or it's some other evidence. Work very hard to get us that evidence. We're trying to help you succeed with your claim. And if you don't have that development, we're probably going to have a full stop on the claim, or it's just going to needlessly end up being a denial in the end if we don't have the records, because we won't have evidence to tie it all together. How about this? Once you reach a decision, if in the appeal there's something you want to consider, immediately drop an intent to file after your decision. I used to do that as a routine. Now, again, I didn't file for claims until almost, see, I got out in 93. I didn't file my first claim until end of 21, beginning of 22. But when I had a decision I didn't like, I immediately dropped an intent to file. That intent to file is good for a year. Just drop one intent to file after your decision. And then once it's associated with a claim, then you need to drop another, if that makes sense. I just want to talk a little bit about investigation. So whatever you can already have done to investigate your own claim and hand us the evidence as simply as possible is going to help us move more promptly through your claim to get you to the decision you need. But if you come in with zero, just kind of like spitballing it, that's going to take more time and we might miss something. Some of these records that are really old are scanned in their images, and our text search fields don't work great quickly. So you almost have to go page by page on some of them. You can't just control F and type in the word knee and see everywhere in those 300 pages where a knee has been. I can do that with a lot of more modern documents because they're already readable for text search for the whole folder. But it's a lot harder to do that with older, even my era from the 90s, documents have just been scanned in there. We've got to almost like look for it in every page. Now, hopefully a VSR has done some of that work for me, but they're under the same pressure. Maybe they missed it. And then I'm going to do the same work in case they missed it, because if they saw it, they tab it for us. And then we have it already with the page number ready to go. Okay, we got a potential direct service connection because we got an injury, disease, or something to do with an event that we can tie to something he has now for that nexus. But I'm just saying, like, how we investigate, the time that we take to investigate, whatever you can already do to get your records through a FOIA or through, even if you have to wait and do it through archives, it's going to help us make a decision for you. I think one of the other issues is not seeking professional help. I see veterans that have accredited representatives, but they aren't really using them, or maybe the accredited representatives, like I work for a state agency, we were under tremendous pressure to not spend all day on like one claim. Now, I would spend all day long on a widow's claim for DIC, which is this, if they said my husband was in Vietnam, but he never filed a claim, let's say he died of a hardening of the arteries, and I know that that's a presumptive for Agent Orange, I would work my tail off all day long to look for some scrap that proved he was in Vietnam or Guam or Thailand. And if I found it, let me tell you, that was a good day for me, because I know that was going to be all the difference in helping them get that monthly benefit. But let's be honest, outside of situations like that, you got some younger veteran that's got all of his records and just lazy and didn't want to do the work as a VSO. No, you go back home and you look for that yourself, and then you bring them all to me tabulated with page numbers. I don't have time, dude, to look through 400 of your records when you just got out, when I've got all these other people who are in their 70s or 80s that may not even have the capability to do that. So I'd be frank with people. I didn't care. I didn't get fired, thankfully, but I'd be very direct with people. Finally, let's talk about some resources. We already talked about going to veteran service organizations, but the official VA website is like a wealth of information. Like if you served anywhere in the Middle East and you get the GWAT, or you've got the Southwest Asia, Kuwait Liberation, you know that you have we've already conceded that you were in the Gulf or in Iraq or Afghanistan. Go to those presumptive pages and look through the presumptions. You may not even know. You may have medical conditions or symptoms of medical conditions that you've never tried to even claim because you didn't know they were basically gimmies from the VA that said, if you've got this condition, this is what a presumptive is, guys. If you've got this condition right now, sinusitis, rhinitis, which is basically allergies, if you've got those symptoms and you served there, file the claim. So just in conclusion, winning a VA claim is going to require diligence, thorough preparation, and often professional assistance. So let's make good decisions, okay? Until next time, y'all take care.